With new evidence that the prosecution have on him, Tay-K's life is basically over as we know it. Here's why. The point of no return. The Texas criminal justice system doesn't play games. Just ask Tamor McIntyre, better known in the rap world as Tay-K. At only 24 years old, dude's already been locked down for 6 years on a 55-year murder sentence. And now in April 2025, he's back in the courtroom facing another capital murder charge that could effectively slam the door shut on any hope of ever walking free again. On April 1st, 2025, Tay-K sat in a Bexar County courtroom while 4 witnesses testified against him, presenting evidence related to the 2017 killing of photographer Mark Anthony Saldivar during a robbery in San Antonio. If convicted, Tay-K faces the possibility of life without parole, a devastating prospect for someone who's barely reached his mid-20s. What's particularly wild about this situation is that back in February 2024, Tay-K actually turned down a plea deal for this case. Imagine being offered a chance to potentially avoid additional decades on your sentence and saying, "Nah, I'm good." That decision looks increasingly questionable as the prosecution builds what appears to be a strong case against him. The trial was originally set for February 2025, but got pushed back due to pending ballistics evidence. During these court appearances, observers noticed Tay-K sporting a neck injury, triggering speculation about his treatment behind bars. It's just one more sign of how far the former rising star has fallen. Let's be real about what Tay-K is accused of here. While on the run from his first murder charge in 2017, he allegedly tried to jack photographer Mark Saldivar for his camera equipment. When Saldivar refused to go quietly, things reportedly went left in a major way.
But when this went down, things didn't go according to plan. Again. Mark began yelling as loud as he could for help and he ran toward the street. They sped up after him, trying to run him over, but he landed on the hood and held on as they drove off. They had to pull into a Chick-fil-A parking lot nearby to get him off. When the car stopped, Mark got up, stomped on the windshield as hard as he could, breaking it. This agitated Tay-K and he allegedly leaned out the window and shot him, flinging his body onto the ground and leaving him there to die.
This alleged crime happened during one of the most bizarre chapters in recent hip-hop history. After cutting off his ankle monitor and fleeing house arrest for his first murder charge, Tay-K didn't just hide out. He recorded The Race, a song literally about being on the run from the law, complete with a video where he posed next to his own wanted poster. The track ended up charting at #44 on Billboard and going platinum, making Tay-K perhaps the only artist to achieve mainstream success while actively being hunted by U.S. Marshals. When those same Marshals finally caught up to him in New Jersey on June 30th, 2017, the very same day, the video for The Race dropped online. That's some next level marketing, but it also proved to be his undoing. During his 2019 trial for the murder of Ethan Walker, his first murder case, prosecutors used the song and video as evidence against him, arguing that it demonstrated his callous attitude toward his crimes. For the family of Mark Saldivar, this second trial is about justice, but many of Tay-K's fans see it differently. On Twitter, users have been vocal about what they perceive as excessive prosecution. One wrote, "Starting a trial 8 years later is so f***ing evil, man. This is not about justice for Mark's family. Tay-K already never getting out. This is a waste of court time and tax dollars. FRFR." Another fan tweeted, "Yeah, I understand having to deal with the consequences of actions, but Tay-K already has been sentenced to over 25 years. So I think this is a bit excessive if they are just going to give him another life sentence." Some are even concerned that Tay-K might receive an unusually harsh sentence due to the judge's reputation. One Twitter user expressed fear that Tay-K might get the death sentence if it's on the table because that Judge Boyd is mean and strict. Though the death penalty isn't an option due to Tay-K's age at the time of the alleged crime, life without parole certainly is. Whether or not Tay-K is found guilty in this second murder trial, the phrase "goodbye forever" seems increasingly appropriate, already serving 55 years with the possibility of parole after 27.5 years, meaning he'd be in his 40s at the earliest before even having a chance at freedom. Any additional sentence would effectively ensure that Tay-K never experiences freedom again. The young rapper, who once had the music world at his feet, now sits in a courtroom facing the prospect of permanent incarceration. As one ex-user put it, Tay-K already serving a 55-year sentence, and now they're trying him for the second murder. They're trying to make a statement out of this young man. He's definitely not coming home. From foster homes to federal manhunt. To comprehend how a young talent wound up staring down life behind bars, we need to step back and examine the troubled road that led Tay-K to this point. The story starts long before he became infamous for The Race or faced murder charges. It begins with a child born into circumstances that stack the odds against him from day one. Born on June 16, 2000 in Long Beach, California, Tamor McIntyre entered a world where gang culture wasn't just in the streets, it was in his home. Both parents had gang affiliations, creating an environment where criminality was normalized from his earliest days.
Both of his parents were gang members, and even though his dad was always in and out of prison, his mom was still active with the Baby Insane Crips while raising the two kids, him and his sister Kayla. But things really took a turn for the worse when his dad was doing a 7-year run in prison for a deal gone bad in 2002. Without a father figure around, it was hard for him to find guidance.
When his father caught a 7-year bid in 2002, stability became even more elusive. Eventually, his mother could no longer manage, and both Tay-K and his sister Kayla entered the foster care system, an experience that left deep scars. As Kayla would later reveal, near all our life. We never stayed with our parents. We kind of stayed in different foster homes, bouncing around. That phrase, bouncing around, captures the profound instability that characterized their childhood. Multiple foster homes meant multiple schools, multiple sets of rules, multiple environments to adapt to, and critically, multiple rejections by families who ultimately didn't want them. The family briefly relocated to Las Vegas after his mother managed to extract herself from gang life, but when Tay-K's father was released from prison in 2009, they moved to Texas. Rather than improving, Tay-K's situation reportedly worsened. His father became abusive, driving the young teen to stay with friends as much as possible just to avoid going home. By 2014, as a freshman at Martin High School in Arlington, Tay-K had found an outlet in music. Together with friends Eric, Santana Sage Johnson, and Jalen Pimps Bell, he formed the Daytona Boys, uploading tracks to SoundCloud and performing at local shows. For a moment, it seemed like music might provide a constructive path forward, but trouble continued to follow. An old tweet shows Tay-K being expelled from high school for bringing marijuana to school. With education no longer an option and home a place to be avoided, 15-year-old Tay-K effectively found himself on the streets, sleeping at friends' houses, and increasingly involved in criminal activity. The first major brush with violence came on New Year's Day 2016, when Santana Sage shot and killed college student Sarah Mushlanger during a traffic dispute. Tay-K was in the car but faced no charges as a minor. This early proximity to lethal violence without consequences may have given him a distorted sense of invulnerability. Just 6 months later came the home invasion that would change everything. In July 2016, 16-year-old Tay-K and 6 accomplices planned to rob Zachary Belayote, a supposed drug dealer. The robbery went sideways when they discovered not just Zachary, but also his roommate Ethan Walker in the house. In the ensuing chaos, Letharian Merritt shot and killed Walker, while Sean Robinson shot and injured Belayote. Though Tay-K wasn't the shooter, under Texas law's party liability doctrine, his participation in the robbery made him equally responsible for Walker's death. Initially placed in juvenile detention, he was later released to his sister Kayla's care on house arrest while awaiting trial. After 8 months under house arrest, Tay-K made what was perhaps his most fateful decision. He cut off his ankle monitor and went on the run, even taunting authorities on social media about his escape. It was during this 3-month period as a fugitive that he allegedly killed Mark Saldivar in San Antonio and recorded The Race, cementing his reputation as both a criminal and an artist. The U.S. Marshals finally captured him in New Jersey on June 30th, 2017. On the very same day, The Race music video was released, showing Tay-K posing with his own wanted poster and rapping about evading law enforcement. The song went viral, eventually going platinum and reaching number 44 on the Billboard Hot 100. 2 years later, in July 2019, Tay-K stood trial for Ethan Walker's murder. Despite not being the shooter, he was convicted and sentenced to 55 years, with prosecutors using The Race as evidence of his callous attitude toward the crime. One of the most controversial aspects of Tay-K's case is the disparity in sentencing between him and his co-defendants, particularly one of the young women involved in planning the robbery. While Tay-K received 55 years, she reportedly received only probation.
But here's where it starts to get wickeder. You remember little white girl from earlier? Tay-K's lawyer brings up the fact that she got 20 years, which was changed to 10 months probation. His lawyer said, what's the difference between the two of them? In this case, you have two 16-year-olds that didn't anybody. In fact, she planned the whole thing. So technically, he shouldn't get more time, right? The judge said, that does sound fair, but technically, this is Texas. 55 years.
This disparity has led many, including Tay-K himself, to suggest racial bias in the justice system played a role in his sentencing. His uncle argued in an interview that Texas is particularly harsh on black defendants, suggesting that if the same crimes had occurred in California, his nephew would already be free. Even Charleston White, a figure typically known for his tough stance on crime, believed Tay-K's sentence was excessive. The first charge, homie, he got more than a shooter. He wasn't even a shooter. It cost somebody their life, but he don't deserve 55 years for what he got 55 years for the first charge. White also highlighted Tay-K's youth and trauma history as mitigating factors. He was a kid with an undeveloped brain that's been trying to mask and deal with and process his childhood trauma. So he's dealing with PTSD just like a soldier, right? But he's a kid trying to process this. Now, as Tay-K faces his second murder trial, the prospects look increasingly grim. Already 6 years into a 55-year sentence, any additional time, particularly life without parole, would effectively guarantee that he never experiences freedom again. The phrase goodbye forever, takes on an all too literal meaning for the young rapper who once showed such promise. A talent extinguished. Perhaps the most tragic aspect of Tay-K's story is the unmistakable talent that now appears destined to be wasted. Despite his limited discography, he released only a handful of songs before his incarceration. He demonstrated a natural charisma and ear for catchy, energetic tracks that helped The Race go platinum and attract remixes from established artists like 21 Savage and Tyga. Even now, years after his imprisonment, Tay-K maintains nearly 3 million monthly listeners on Spotify, a testament to the lasting impact of his brief career. Fans regularly debate what might have been, with one calling him a generational talent who was lost to the system.
I think he would have been a good soldier because he likes the contact, he likes the tactical stuff. He's very intelligent, he's very smart, he's very articulate. I don't know what people or what social media think of him, but he's a smart kid. If he was able to do that at 14, 15, imagine now. Imagine. So if you take that time capsule away and that never happened, how far would he be right now in the music industry? He came out with the Playboy Cardis, the XXXTentacion. He was the leader of that SoundCloud. So imagine now what he'll be probably, and I mean, this, like I said, there's no hit to anybody else, but he'll probably be leading a young school like NBA Youngboy, probably way above that situation. Lil Durk, probably with young Lil Baby, all of them, he'll be up there with them. You know what I'm saying? Because I saw his talent. I hear his music. I hear his unreleased. I talk to him. He reads. He's getting into a mode of more maturity. So it's like, I just, I pray for him every day, and I pray for his mentor, and I pray for my sister, so, one day they can reunite.
His uncle, who maintains a relationship with him, believes Tay-K could have been one of the biggest names in hip-hop had his life taken a different path. Fan reactions to Tay-K's legal situation have been mixed and emotionally charged. A recent post on X captured the conflicted feelings many have. The most unfortunate part about all of this is if you listen to that Santana world, Tay-K had immense rap talent and energy, but for some reason he felt he actually needed to hurt and murder people. Sad story. On Reddit, discussions frequently center on his wasted potential, with one user commenting, "Obviously, yeah, he's a murderer, but we're just saying if he wasn't a murderer, he'd be huge, Ryan." Others take a harsher stance, with another commenter calling him a demon and stating, "Let him rot behind bars." These divergent perspectives reflect the complex moral questions raised by cases like Tay-K's. How do we reconcile artistic talent with serious criminal behavior? To what extent should a troubled childhood and systemic factors mitigate personal responsibility for violent actions? And at what age should someone be considered beyond redemption? During his incarceration, Tay-K has maintained an online presence, occasionally sharing thoughts about his conditions. In one particularly revealing post, he compared his cell to a hamster cage, offering a glimpse into the psychological impact of long-term confinement on a young person. There have also been troubling reports about Tay-K's behavior behind bars, including allegations that he attempted to start his own gang called the Rugrats in prison. This suggests that despite the severe consequences he's already faced, Tay-K has struggled to completely leave behind the criminal mindset that got him into trouble in the first place. As his second murder trial unfolds in 2025, the story of Tay-K serves as a stark reminder of how quickly potential can be squandered and how permanent the consequences of violence can be. For the families of Ethan Walker and Mark Saldivar, no amount of musical talent could justify the loss of their loved ones. Walker's father made this clear after Tay-K's first conviction, stating that it felt like Tay-K was dancing on Ethan's grave with The Race. Whether viewed as a cautionary tale about the dangers of street life, an indictment of a system that fails vulnerable youth, or simply the story of a young man who made terrible choices, Tay-K's saga resonates because it touches on universal themes of talent, tragedy, justice, and loss. At just 24 years old, facing the very real possibility of spending the remainder of his life behind bars, his story serves as a sobering reminder that some decisions can never be undone. The title Goodbye Forever takes on a multi-layered meaning in this context. It's goodbye to the promising career that might have been, goodbye to the freedom that most young adults take for granted, and ultimately, goodbye to the alternate futures that were foreclosed by his actions and the resulting consequences. For Tay-K, there is no reset button, no new beginning, just the harsh reality of a life effectively over before it truly began. Click the video on your screen to see another incredible story.